Welcome, everybody, to episode 80 of Two Goalies, One Mic. I am, of course, your host, Duane Steinell, not joined by Cully tonight on the ice as per usual. He's a busy guy, coaching the future goaltenders of this great city. But we have producer Steve here, fresh off his first two episodes, I believe, of Where the Buffalo Roam, Steve.
Yep, 2 so far. I was out of town last weekend, so I wasn't here to talk about much. Otherwise, I would have most certainly been talking about the World Juniors. But
yeah, we're definitely going to get to that. The World Juniors tournament has been a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, we all seen what Owen Power was able to do, which was very unprecedented and only first time ever done by a Canadian defenseman in this tournament. Was score a hat trick against, was it the Czech Republic? Yeah, the Czech Republic.
I believe it was.
Yeah, the Czech Republic. Getting 3 goals, I think 2 of which, I'm not sure if all 3 were on the power play, or at least 2 of them were on the power play. But they were referring to it on Twitter as the Owen Power play, which was a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun to watch that kid perform as well as he's been. Absolutely, it's just been a ton of fun. The hype surrounding him is just going to get bigger now, especially more than ever after this tournament and that hot start he's had. But also outside of that, a lot to discuss. Obviously, we're getting ready to come off this COVID pause. I know me and you, Steve, bought tickets for tomorrow's game after the big announcement of the 3 call-ups from Rochester. Peyton Krebs, JJ Peterka, and Arttu Ruotsalainen. Very excited for that. Hopefully, with all the cancellations, both up across the border in Canada, and of course the Isles game. Is it the Isles Devils?
I believe it was the Isles Wings tonight.
Isles Wings, yes. Isles and Wings. Their game was postponed. Hopefully that doesn't affect us tomorrow because I'm super excited to go watch the centerpiece of the Jack Eichel trade in Peyton Krebs and see what he can bring to the table. But before we get all that, Steve, how was your Christmas back at home?
My Christmas back home was pretty cool. Got to do something I haven't done in over half my life, and that was actually little hockey on the ice. I was staying with my little brother up north of Albany, 518, what up? And there's some old buddies of his that have like a homemade outdoor rink thing, but like they do it right. Like he's got boards, nets to keep the pucks that fly over from getting lost in the woods. Like it's a big floodlights, keep it lit all night. It's a nice shed out back with a nice little fire stove to keep you warm as you put your boots on. It's a formal operation, you know. He's got like this little like mini. It's maybe like 100 feet end to end, but like it's still an outdoor rink. It's as close as you're gonna get to pond hockey before it's like 10 degrees every day for a week. It was it was a lot of fun. I definitely learned I am incredibly out of shape, but I also learned that the endorphin rush after playing several hours of hockey is unlike any other. It's better than a good night of drinking. It's better than a lot of things. Hockey rules, even if you're terrible at it.
Yeah, I miss playing shitty hockey, as they'll call it up north, but pond hockey. Definitely miss a lot of that. I need more than just my once a week dose on Sunday nights at the Heart Foundation. I definitely wouldn't mind getting back to my roots and playing some pond hockey. I had a good Christmas myself. Spent it with family. Got a pretty dope banner, as you can see above the Ryan Miller jersey, the odd from the girlfriend. It was a pretty cool.
Ooh, Duane.
Yep. But
Duane.
Just a lot. Just a lot to be excited about after Christmas. Like I said, it was nice to get away from work and spend some time with family. But most of all, really decompress. We were on a little bit of a break here from the podcast, just kind of, getting that time in that you need sometimes, just kind of like putting the phone down, putting the computer down, and really trying to get away from it all. But, there's a big year in review from Two Goalies, One Mic. We had a pretty good year, especially when it comes to the guests. I'm not going to sit here and pump my own tires, but it was pretty cool to be the very first show in Western New York to interview the first overall pick in Owen Power. A couple clicks for us, right? It was awesome. We've had guests on like Clint Malarchuk, Steve Shields, EJ Radek, Greg Wyshynski. You were part of that. It's been a lot of fun. It was a fun year, and we're gonna kick off the new year right. I'm gonna announce it here. Not on Twitter again later, but January 1st, leading into the Winter Classic, between was it St. Louis and the Wild?
Nashville.
Or is it Nashville? I thought it was the Wild.
There's a Nashville one as well, but is it St. Louis and the Wild that play each other?
In the Wild, maybe I'm wrong.
I
could have
sworn there's a net. Is it Nashville and Lightning?
Maybe.
Because I know there's like three.
There's a Heritage Classic between Buffalo and Toronto.
There's Buffalo, Toronto, and Hamilton. But yeah.
Anyways, leading into the Winter Classic, the game we're all, we've grown accustomed to looking forward to watching on New Year's Day. We will be interviewing none other than not just the instigator, but the 716 insider, Andrew Peters himself, a very good friend of mine, agreed to come on the show. Excited for that.
Right.
No better way, in my opinion, to kick off the new year than the guy who, not just a class act, on his own podcast After the Whistle, just a class act human being, and I don't care what anyone says. He's going to join us. January 1st. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. Maybe reminisce on his old playing days, maybe on his experience at the very first ever Winter Classic. And we kind of shot the shit a little bit, and we were talking about maybe bringing up some of the stories from the old Maple Leaf Sabres rivalry when he played. So a lot to be excited about with that, as well as other guests that we already have lined up, which I'm excited about. I know Curtis McElhaney just recently agreed to come on the show sometime in the new year. Dave Starman, returning guest with NHL Network. He's currently covering the World Junior Tournament. A lot to be excited about. I'm certainly very, very excited. Just getting great into things. Before we start, also, I want to send Two Goalies, One Mics our deepest condolences. Not that it would get to them, but to John Madden and his friends and family. Obviously, in the last couple hours, we heard the heartbreaking news that football icon, broadcasting icon, and video game icon John Madden passed away at the age of 85. Hall of Fame coach with the Raiders. Obviously, we all know that voice from his broadcasting career. And anybody who's ever played a video game, you've played at least Madden, and from any year at least once. I was a big Madden guy when I was a kid, back in the PlayStation days and the PS2 days. And I had every Madden game back then. I would spend hours playing that game along with NHL. So condolences go out to him, and a couple of clicks for the life and career of John Madden. Absolutely, like, Hall of Fame person. And was really saddened to hear of his passing, but also grateful that we were able to experience his greatness and love for the game of football in our lifetime. And I'm really happy that he was able, hopefully, to watch his own documentary on Christmas Day. That I think it was maybe it was ESPN. I can't remember who did it, but it was an unbelievably done documentary, and I suggest anyone go and watch it. But very sad news in the sports world. Yeah. But without further ado, Steve, let's get right to the big news on the docket for today. Find out today that the Buffalo Sabres have indeed called up center Peyton Krebs, Arttu Ruotsalainen, and JJ Peterka. And they tweeted out the lines the other day. Peterka was on that top line with Tuch and Tage Thompson, and Peyton Krebs centering that second line.
Yeah, I mean, all it took was a very contagious variant of a very unfun disease to make it happen sooner than anyone expected. But here we are. December 28th. And again, my little brother's a diehard Devils fan, so I get the inside scoop on anything Devils related through him. Apparently, most of their players are back off protocol, so the overwhelming majority of the Devils squad is pretty healthy. Even Blackwood is off the injury list. So, barring anything horrible, we just called up everybody we need. Their squad's fine. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm not getting too hopeful because that's what the past 2 years have been. But it's more likely than some of the other matchups we've got that this one won't be postponed. And again, it would be a day after my birthday kind of event. It would be amazing. Again, today's my birthday. My dad forgot. Everyone at work forgot. Nope. They put out like an email blast at work when it's somebody's birthday, and they actually didn't do that for me today. And I'm actually kind of happy about it because it would just be like 50 people that I've never talked to at work just going like, oh, happy birthday. What are you going to do? I'm like, I'm here at work, so I'm not going to do much. But that said, yeah, I do think the game is more likely than not going to happen tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, if you've watched Where the Buffalo Roam, you know that Peyton Krebs and JJ Peterka are some of the most dominant players on the Amerks roster. It goes without saying. I mean, when Jack Quinn isn't sick with mononucleosis, he is, the top contender as far as points are concerned. But I do hope Jack Quinn gets well soon. But in the meantime, Peyton Krebs and JJ Peterka have more than earned their look. I'm glad it's coming. It's a late Christmas present to everybody in Western New York. And even though it's not a done deal just yet, if you don't have your tickets, I would highly recommend getting them sooner than later because that price is going to go up.
Yeah, I'm super excited that we were able to get our hands on those for the price we did because, like I said, this is the centerpiece of the Jack Eichel trade. This is the guy that was speculated to be a part of that deal for quite some time, ended up coming back in the deal, and then obviously the debut of Alex Tuch. Let's not forget about him. He's debuting too.
Of course. Let's not bury the lead.
Let's not bury that guy. And
the
guy
God.
who had the biggest smile of them all when he got traded to Buffalo, which if you think about it is extremely hard to believe when you're traded away from a team that's going to contend for a cup to a bottom feeder, essentially, like the Buffalo Sabres. But Alex Tuch is raring and ready to go for the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm excited to see him because that's leadership, if you ask me. And I hear he's been on a lot of the road trips, getting to know the guys in the locker room, trying to instill himself as a leader right away. And I know some people would disagree with me because everybody's high on Dylan Cousins being the future captain of this team, but like this guy just oozes captain material, like from every pore of his body for me. And if they were to throw the C on him next year, I would not be against it at all. I don't care if the guy has been here for half a season or not. I remember when we traded when we dealt for Craig Rivet, and I think they made him captain almost immediately. The team voted on it. I may have not even played a game, to be honest. But Alex Tuch, I'm extremely excited for him. I'm literally, honestly, because he is on a contract for the next few years, I'm considering, and I've been against this after the Jack Eichel thing, I'm considering getting a jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say that, Alex Tuch isn't, of course he's going to be a welcome addition to this lineup. I've never been to Vegas. I'm not a gambling man, but I have been to the Baldwinsville Diner, A-plus establishment. So I can understand a Baldwinsville, Syracuse boy being excited to get back up to Western Central New York. He's back home. He's back where he came from. And I think that, it just kind of seemed like the amount of locals around here that were just like so happy to see like a Western New York kid come back home. I don't know. I just think it's going to – and he's exactly the kind of player that Donnie Meatballs loves. He's that guy who's been working his ass off since the second he got into the league. And for whatever reason, he always seems to find himself as the odd man out on pretty stacked teams at the time. I mean, when he was getting pushed out of Minnesota, I mean, you can question maybe you should have pushed out Dumba instead of Tuch, but they made the moves they made, and then Tuch got pushed off to Vegas. And then in this trade, somehow – I also can't potentially say that if you have the opportunity to trade for Jack Eichel, maybe Alex Tuch has to go. But at the same time, it's not – the guy's fighting for every single inch of ice that he gets and every single shift that he has. And that's exactly the kind of player that Donnie Meatballs would want to build around. That's that kind of grit and attitude. That's that I'm going to earn every last pump of my skates on the ice when I get it, and I'm not going to give up. I'm gonna fight every battle until it's over. I'm gonna take every shot I can make. I'm gonna make every pass I can make. I'm gonna back check until my fucking knees shatter. I don't care. Let's go. And that's Alex Tuch, and that's the kind of dude that Donnie's gonna love. And if he doesn't get the C, I could easily see him getting the A, backing up Dylan Cousins if Dylan Cousins is going to be the Buffalo Sabres poster child of leadership, which I'm also not opposed to. But I have a hard time not seeing that guy getting a letter next season. But
yeah, I
first
think
things first, let's get him
I
on the
think for
ice.
sure he at least gets an A. I don't even think that's debatable. He's already shown a very calm presence in that locker room without even skating a single minute of a game. I'm like I said, I'm very excited for Alex Tuch. I'm very excited to see. There's been a lot of hype around JJ Peterka and how far he's come since we watched him at the last year's World Juniors and how well he performed with Stutzel for Team Germany, or Stutzla. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Stutzla. And obviously, again, we didn't know a ton about Peyton Krebs coming into that trade. We've seen quite a bit. His ability to obviously not. It took he didn't get going right away. It took him a few games, but once he did, man, he really turned it on for Rochester. And then we all know what Arttu Ruotsalainen brings to the table. It's been debated quite a bit whether or not he should have stayed up with Buffalo rather than go back down to Rochester for the likes of guys like Hayden and Cody Eakin and Mark Jankowski, just to name a few guys that have been up with the club instead of a guy like Arttu Ruotsalainen, who brings a lot of different dimensions to his game that maybe those guys don't offer, especially when it comes to speed. But I'm excited to see all four of these guys in the lineup tomorrow night. As long, knock on wood,
fingers crossed,
that this game does not get postponed tomorrow.
Absolutely. And as far as Arttu Ruotsalainen goes, I wouldn't give it too many knocks on Mark Jankowski. The small sample size that we've seen, he's a very, very he's very good when in whatever situation. He's like that Swiss Army knife kind of player. He's going to be good wherever you put him. If you need him to just go do some wall battling, dumping and chasing, just wearing some other line down while you cycle in the better offenseman, he's going to be able to do it. It's going to be great. But I mean, yeah, just I want to say it was a play that he made to Rasmus Asplund in one game that led to a goal, or maybe it was Gergenson's, but it was just like a single-handed effort for like 30 seconds to just keep fighting for the puck, to keep maintaining the puck, make enough space for himself to make the open pass, to finally find the guy who buried it. And of all the people that shouldn't be up still who are, I do honestly think that odd man out is John Hayden. And I don't think it's going to surprise anybody. Maybe we got him because we wanted some physicality in the lineup. We wanted a little bit of a bruiser. I think he's been in maybe one scrap. He didn't really scrap that much. He checks a little bit, which is fine and all, but there are other people out there throwing the body. It's not like 3 years ago Sabres where nobody was throwing a hit to save their. It's like they were allergic to the plexiglass. So I don't know. It's nice to see Arttu Ruotsalainen back in the lineup, but if and when people start getting healthy again, I hope that he's not the odd man out that gets called back down, because I do think there's different individuals in the bottom six of the roster that should probably get the call down.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with you. This is a good opportunity for these kids to show what they've learned playing professional hockey, especially JJ Peterka, who actually all both of them. Arttu Ruotsalainen probably has the most experience playing professionally, going back to last year. But Peyton Krebs, I can't remember if he got a sniff in the NHL last year. I think
he got a couple games.
I think he did. Okay, so Krebs had a few games in with Vegas, but for the most part, Ruotsalainen probably had the most experience. Peterka, I think he played for the DEL. Did he play for the DEL over in Germany? I can't remember which team he played for. Anyway, regardless, after performing as well as he did in the World Juniors in 2021, and now here, with Rochester in 2022. Like, I just can't wait to see that speed that he's going to bring to the table come tomorrow night, especially that top line with Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson, the pterodactyl.
Yeah, to answer your question, JJ did play in the Dell. He played in 2019-2020. 2019-20 season, 11 points in 42 games. That was his first season playing against full grown-ups, so a little bit of a learning curve. Following year, 20 points in 30 games, so obvious uptick. This year, of course, we're at 20 points in 23 games in the AHL. And that's also after last year's impressive World Juniors appearance. 10 points in 5 games, on a team that did not have the depth of squads like USA or Canada, to be sure. But yeah, JJ Peterka getting his first look in the NHL. I do believe that Peyton Krebs did. I don't want to talk out of school, so I'm going to just double check here. Yes, he did. He even had a few games with the Knights earlier this season. He had 4 games last year. He tallied an assist, so he has already gotten his first NHL point. This year he's had 9 games. Didn't get a single point on the scoreboard. Only took 1 penalty though, so that's pretty good for a rookie. Not bad. And then of course, Archie Ruotsalainen's been playing against grown-ups for a minute, just as an older guy. But yeah, I think the thing that's interesting about Ruotsalainen is when he was here last year, he would just kind of seem like that Olofsson kind of sniper, but also with like a little bit more focus on his D game. But in a lot of the situations I've seen him in this year, he's mostly like on the penalty kill, just primarily serving in a defensive first role, which, obviously you need those players in your tool chest, but that wasn't necessarily the guy I thought Arttu Ruotsalainen was developing into becoming, which, with a lethal slap shot like that, you didn't think that would be where he's going to make his bread and butter, either with the Sabres or the Amerks. But, it's nice to see that I'd like to see a little more time spent in the offensive zone, get a few apples, maybe a couple biscuits, feed the poor boy. But, it's great to know that his defensive game is solid, For a kid that's only 5'9", he wins a lot of wall battles. He's always fighting for the puck, even though he's, sometimes getting shoved off it just based on his size.
One of the, like I said, I think one of the things I'm most looking forward to out of the debut of these players, from the little bit I've seen from Peyton Krebs in Rochester, the guy has a very powerful shot, very very innate finishing ability. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Peterka's speed, especially his explosiveness.
It's absurd.
Yes. Once you think you got him, like that, he's gone. And then with Alex Tuch, just that ability to have a guy that is really gonna play hard in front of both nets. He's gonna stand up for his teammates, and he's gonna really wear that Sabres crest with a lot of pride. Very very excited to see what he brings in his first game as a Sabre. He's going to come out of all those players, or isn't it going to be a player on this team tomorrow night that plays with more energy than Alex Tuch? I mean, that's why that for me, as excited as I am for Peyton Krebs and JJ Peterka, Alex Tuch is the biggest reason why I decided to go tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's that chip on his shoulder kind of guy. He's got something to prove now, I think he knows what he's walking into. Like, he's a lifetime Sabres fan. Like, I'm sure he had some feelings when Ryan O'Reilly went out the door. So he knows what this trade is going to be compared to. So he wants to come back, and he doesn't want to be Vlad. He doesn't want to be Saboka. He doesn't want to be Berglund, hangs out for 10 games and then F's off for the rest of his career. He doesn't want to be Tage Thompson, who takes years to develop. He wants to be like, oh, well, okay then. Maybe we didn't lose that trade after all, or we didn't lose it as bad as people said we did on the internet.
No.
So I think he knows. I think he feels it too.
It's going to take a lot in order for us to really even think that we came anything close to not losing the Ryan O'Reilly trade. Like I said, in terms of it going.
That trade we lost. We absolutely lost.
Yeah.
That trade.
It's just it couldn't have gone worse in terms of like the full calendar year after the fact. Stanley Cup, Conn Smythe guy, and then later on he's named the captain. It just went horribly, horribly wrong. But in terms of Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel, I mean, you were never going to win a Jack Eichel trade. You just weren't. As nice a piece as that Alex Tuch and Peyton Krebs, could potentially be. Had the situation been different, maybe Jack gets the surgery, comes back, plays a few games healthy. You probably could have got a much larger return than what you did. Maybe you get Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuch, and even maybe a Bryson or maybe a Shea Theodore, because I think that's what he would. That additionally, I think that's what Jack Eichel would have been worth, is adding a guy like Shea Theodore to that deal that you already got, or maybe 2 first-round picks. I think Adams could have gotten what he wanted for a very healthy Jack Eichel. But again, let's not dwell on the past. Let's just look forward. I'm excited for what's to come tomorrow night against the New Jersey Devils. Again, knock on wood that we do have a game to play tomorrow night. Again, all cross-border games up in Canada were canceled or postponed. Sorry, and then again the Islanders Red Wings game was postponed as well. Sorry, Dewey Crocs. Unfortunate for you. But other things to discuss. Also, obviously, we could talk about Owen Power's debut. We kind of teased that at the beginning. Owen Power's debut for Team Canada and his debut at the World Junior Tournament. Guy, had Twitter rant and raving yesterday, scoring a hat trick in his first game of the tournament, and being the first Canadian defenseman to ever have a hat trick in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he's living up to that number 1 pick. No one can say he isn't making an impact on the scoreboard. He's just taking what he's been doing in Michigan and he's doing it on the world stage. Not everyone's watching games happening at the Yost. Not everyone has ESPN Plus. You should probably get an ESPN Plus.
Love ESPN Plus.
But that said, it's been amazing to watch him wheel and deal. And I believe Connor Bedard, actually, 2023 eligible pick, also got a Canadian hat trick tonight. He's not a defenseman, but There's a lot of
hype around that kid, man. As much as people are hyping about Shane Wright this coming draft, the hype around Connor Bedard is real, man. And to be asked as, I think, what is he, 16 or just turned 17, to play in this tournament at this early of an age, that says a lot about the player. And I've been hearing about Connor Bedard now for 2 years. 2 years. And I think he's like 16 or 17 years old. So for a guy like me to be hearing that name for this long, I mean, as great as McDavid was, we didn't really start hearing about McDavid until a full year before his draft eligible year. The last guy we heard this much hype around leading into a draft, for this many years before his draft year, was Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. I mean, you could maybe chalk that up to people having a little more time on their hands to talk about stuff on the internet these past 2 years. But I think it's also just, at least that hat trick goal, my goodness, he just gets a feed right from the face off, does a little loop-de-loo to protect the puck from the guy chasing him, does a little deke to, low-key shatter his ankles, and then he rips it. He barely pulls it back and just snipes it top shot. Like, I don't even think he pulled it back a foot, and he just ripped it. He ripped it like tissue paper at Denny's at 3 a.m. It was just sickening how lethal that shot was. It was so good.
Real quick here, though, obviously, I'll touch on that. I actually haven't seen the goals yet, you just eloquently gave us details about. But I have the video clip here of Owen Power's all 3 of his goals. We'll play them here real quick for you guys, courtesy of TSN.
Knocked down now by Bourgault. Xavier Bourgault. The backhand shot. Malik down. Perfetti digging. The puck stayed out as Malik kept that in. And now a long shot. They score from the point. It's Power. Malik was down. And Canada's drawn back within the goal.
He's in the net. Now he's like, oh, I better get up here. But it's a short side shot off the one on his elbow.
Back to Power.
Yeah.
Power to Perfetti.
Not to talk over these
Johnson.
brilliant broadcasters over at TSN, but I just want to point out,
Back for Perfetti.
just especially I believe it's on his third goal, which got him the hat trick. Like you're really seeing this. I think a different player than what we've seen at Michigan. I have been used to seeing Owen Power not being afraid to get involved offensively, like outside of just being sitting at the point. But like, he's getting involved down low below the dots, very willingly. I'm not saying that he has like a leash on him at Michigan. I'm not saying that at all. But it just seems to me that with Team Canada, he's being given like a little bit more freedom to do what he wants, especially offensively on the man advantage.
Back down to Perfetti. 10 seconds to go on the check. First penalty. Perfetti shoots. Bouncing puck in front. McTavish backs it back and they score. Power again.
Well, how's your first game in the World Junior Tournament going, Owen Power? Buffalo Sabres fans, what are you thinking? Here's Owen Power. He's got 3 goals here, a couple on the power play. He's going to wander down by the goal line, and when this puck bounces around, he's standing at the goal line on the
Zero
left
hesitation.
This puck bounces around off the McTavish miss. Thank you, says Owen Power.
That lineup. How does anyone think that they can compete with Canada at the World Juniors? Holy shit!
That team is just so good. They're just so good, man.
It's irresponsible.
They're good every year, though. That's too.
Of course they are.
They're always good every year. Obviously Team USA, took home the gold last year. Unfortunately, they had to forfeit one of their games. 2 players tested positive for COVID. I think it was today. They had to forfeit their game against the Swiss, unfortunately. Hopefully that doesn't lead to more games, having to be forfeited by Team USA. Definitely agree here with Dylan Baker. Canada is an absolute wagon. Like, that team is so good and so deep. Goaltending looks phenomenal. I'm a big fan.
It's irresponsible. If they didn't basically invent the sport, I'd say it's illegal.
But like I pointed out during the video, one of the things that really stuck out to me just from that one game is Power's willingness to get involved offensively, not just just driving play out of his own end, but like you see on that power play, he's below the dots. It's not like he's sneaking there. He's sitting there the entire time waiting. Not something we've seen a ton of at Michigan. We've seen little bits and pieces. But like I'm not saying he has a leash on him at Michigan, like that he's being told to play this certain way and being restricted. But it just seems he's being given a little bit more offensive freedom with Team Canada.
Ooh, we got a question here from Paramat Pictures. All that talk about Power for Canada, but what about Isaac Rosen for Sweden? I don't think he's put up any points on the board just yet, unless there's been a game happening today that I've missed. Again, I was at work all day on my birthday. It's fucking stupid. Working on your birthday should be illegal. Same with Team Canada playing in the World Juniors. It's just not fair. It's almost unethical to every other country in the world that has to try to compete with Canada. It's just like fucking Thanos with the whatever the thing with the gems, and he destroys the world or whatever. You get it.
Mm-hmm.
Superhero movies. It's basically just that. And every other team is just like, man. It's just like, come on. It's hard. It's just so hard. It's so hard to compete against Canada in any of these tournaments. But but I mean, again, to be fair, that I'm not sure the Swedish team has quite the depth of a squad like Canada or USA or the Russian squad even. But, he's there. He's trying to make an impact. But nothing to report of on the scoreboard as of yet, my friend.
Yeah, he has not
that was
got
different.
any points. That is a very good Swedish team, though, so it's maybe a little more difficult for a young kid like him to stick out right away. But, I mean, we saw it. We saw a lot of his highlights after getting drafted. This kid has insane breakaway speed. He's built for this ice surface on the Olympic-sized rinks. So I would expect to see some, highlight reel moments from Isaac Rosen at some point during this tournament. The skill is there. The speed is there. Just maybe, he needs to get a few games underneath his feet before he really starts to show his talent and why he was drafted in the first round by Buffalo.
Yeah. Another late pick in this year's draft, Nikita Novakov, over there in Russia.
I enjoyed watching him last night. He looked very steady at the blue line, very physical. He stood out a lot to me on that Russian hockey team. Especially, I think he was the best defenseman on the ice.
He's got great hands. He's got great feet. And at that age, those are the two pieces of the equation that you really want. The hockey IQ can come with age, but if you got feet blocks and hands like spaghetti, I don't know, man. You can get away with having one and not the other for a minute, but eventually you got to have it all. Hockey IQ, good feet, good hands. Usually, if you're a halfway decent prospect, you only got the one. Sometimes it's just knowing exactly what play to make, even if you're not the best shooter, you're not the best skater. But yeah, I mean, for a 6th round pick, he's looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Just making a lot of smart plays out there.
He's a big guy too, man. Like, a big, mean Russian defenseman. I love it. I love every second. I love it.
Oh man, is he a righty or a lefty? Because if he could be like on the right side of Rasmus Dahlin, oh my god,
that's a few years down the line.
Yeah, years down the road, of course. But
I just salivate at the thought of having Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin on our blue line, especially on that first power play unit. I don't care if they're both left-handed defensemen. For sure, it's something to salivate thinking about, man. There's some people out there that say Owen Power makes Rasmus Dahlin expendable. I actually think the absolute opposite. I think having them both on your team, even if it costs you a pretty penny to keep them both at some point, I think you do it because having those two guys anchoring your blue line for like the next decade, I mean, come on, not many teams can say that they have two guys like that under contract on the same team.
The great thing about building a pyramid, you need a strong base. So if you have a strong base in Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power, what on earth are you thinking giving it up? You have two sets of incredible shoulders to build that team on. Like, what are you doing? And on top of that, we'll have the 3 growing goalie prospects that could – each one of them has the possibility of becoming the guy. What if we have 2 the guys? Then we just have a perfect, 1A, 1B tandem that just kind of, you want it? Nah, you can have it. You're on a heater right now. I'll sit out for a week or so. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll come in 2 weeks. Yeah. Give me a break. Yeah,
I got another comment here from Dylan Baker. I agree. Jesper Wallstedt has been phenomenal in that for Team Sweden. Me and our newest intern, Carson, we were actually talking about this. We were texting about this the other night. He's been a big standout for Team Sweden. The kid's ability, he seems so calm in that, quick feet. Great. I want to say he was in Minnesota Wild draft pick in the first round. I think mid to late first round. Kid has been an absolute stud. Just fun watching him. I love watching some of these goalies. In their Sweden's game versus Slovakia, he carried Sweden on his back during that game, and I think he won. Was it?